GOAT district, you know the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offer's the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice, from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man, y'all know what to do. It's the... And I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.
What is up, Fantasyland? Welcome back to the GOAT District for a Thursday, special Thursday, actually. Our guest tonight, Kev, in for the first weekend tailgate. We had the Thursday tailgate earlier today at noon. Myself and the Harris Snowman went a little deep dive in tonight's game. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out on this GOAT District channel. Tonight, we're going to cover basically the rest of the weekend. And I bring in one of my favorite dudes in Fantasyland, Kev Wheeler at FF_Wheeler. You know him from the 33rd team, one of the best rankers out there, one of the best fantasy players out there. Kev, always a blast to have you, man. Appreciate you jumping on tonight.
Always a blast to be here, man. You know, I'll never shoot you down.
Nice. So lots to cover tonight. A lot of injuries, as you guys know. For the new people, welcome. Basically, what we're doing tonight is we're going to look at player news, injury updates, roster changes, anything like that, matchups, little tidbits that we can give you guys to, while you're setting your lineups, whether you're doing DFS, fantasy, dynasty, whatever it is, even prop bets. We'll try to hit on those as well, look at some lines as we comb through. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, the GOAT District podcast, and check us out every Tuesday night on the Player Profiler Network at 9 p.m. Eastern live. Big game tonight, KC and Denver. As I said, if you want the details on that one, go check out our show from earlier tonight. Kev, let's get right into it. One of the, I think one of people's favorite darlings, I guess you could call it, coming into the season, the Detroit Tigers. Certainly one of the best right now, top 5 in scoring, one of the top teams in the NFC. And one of their best receivers was looking a little iffy with an abdomen. He's been upgraded as a full participant in Thursday's practice. And then his teammate, rookie Sam Laporta, who we all love, especially here in the district, he's been ripping it up. He's got a calf injury. He did not practice today. Any input on either of those guys? How are your thoughts? Detroit in Tampa this week for an afternoon slate.
I mean, you always have to start ARSB. He's my wide receiver 9 this week. Even if he's 90%, especially with Laporta out, like I might even have to move him up higher with Laporta out. I just don't know who I'm going to move him ahead of. And I'm assuming Laporta is out when you get a did not practice on Thursday. All of a sudden, that doesn't look good. Laporta has been fantastic. He's the tight end 1 on the season, tight end 3 in points per game. Can't deny it. Like I think I put him as my top tight end in the rest of the season rankings. But if he's hurt, what are you going to do? Definitely start ARSB. You can start Josh Reynolds too. If you need to flex wide receiver 3 type. But it sucks if Laporta's hurt. Hopefully it's just one game.
Hopefully it's one game. And look, keep an eye
on
on
NFL. Everybody's hurt a game, right?
And keep an eye on it. I mean, there's still Friday, right? Depending on if he does maybe step on, especially if he gets on the field and he's not limited. That's a really good sign. But if he's not on the field or he is very limited in practice tomorrow, then that's where I think you really got to worry.
I mean, if he does play, I guess you got to judge it. But he probably still is startable. At that point, like if you're talking about a low end tight end one, you're just crossing your fingers for a touchdown. There hasn't been a single tight end this year that's separated themselves really.
Do you like
gangbusters?
You said you have him 9th right now in your rankings for the week.
That's Amon-Ra. Laporta, I had, I think, as my tight end 3, 2 or 3. I was debating 2 or 3 tight end this week. I actually was going to put him as my tight end 1, but then I realized Travis Kelce as Denver and Taylor Swift is going to be there. That'll help with your algorithm.
I knew you'd be on top of that. I knew you'd be on top of that, Kev.
I don't even like Taylor Swift, but as long as she's affecting football, I'm cool with it. Whatever.
Yeah. Hey, man, if she, like you said, if she's giving us more fantasy points just by being there, I'm all for it. She gives us
more clicks or whatever, we're cool with that.
For sure.
Yeah, but I think I'm assuming Laporta. Well, I moved him just to tight end 7.
Okay. Who are some guys you have just ahead of him?
Waller, Ingram. Actually, I have Logan Thomas ahead of him. I have Logan Thomas pretty high this week.
Logan popped off. He's a guy I was picking up early this offseason in my tight end preem leagues where maybe the tight end was not necessarily and he finally popped.
Yeah, and he's got Atlanta this week, who's Atlanta's defense is great against everything except the tight end. So not that the matchups always work. In fact, this season they haven't seemed to really, but we don't have enough data really. I mean, well, now that we have 5 games, we're starting to have enough data that we can tell who's weak against certain positions and who's stronger. But so I have Logan Thomas pretty high this week, and I still have Laporta ahead of Kittle just because Cleveland's defense is pretty strong across the board, and the scoring should actually be fairly down for that game. I don't expect Cleveland to score much at all if Watson isn't going to play.
So just going back to Detroit, 3-point favorites right now in Tampa, a bit of a surprise this year. Over under on that one is 42. You were talking what, Cleveland?
Yeah, it was just talking about having Laporta ahead of Kittle still, talking about San Francisco.
Okay.
Probably going to clobber Cleveland, but
10-point
I expect it overall to be low scoring. So it's something like 24-3, something ridiculous like that.
Right now, the over-under is 36.5, so definitely Vegas agrees is going to be a low one.
Yeah.
Let's go Cincinnati, who bounced back a bit. They are at home to Seattle, who's coming off of a bye this week. You got T. Higgins, looks promising. He says he's ready to play, and I believe he was even full participant in pads today. So we expect him back. What are your thoughts on Higgins? What are your thoughts on the Bengals? Are we seeing the turnaround? Is that what we should expect moving forward? Is this offense getting back on top of it, or was that kind of just matchup dependent last week? What are your thoughts on T. Higgins and this offense as a whole?
I mean, it revolves around Burrow's calf, really. Right before last week's game, he said he was fully healthy. I didn't believe it. I guess I should have. But it revolves around that, right? Like, yeah, it was probably a good matchup on top of it. But who does you just said it to? Who are they playing this week?
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle's pretty weak against the pass. I actually had Jamar ranked as my number 2 behind Hill. But I will have Higgins now if he's definitely going to play. Where do I have him? I have him fairly low just because I don't think he gets a ton of usage. I think they work him in kind of slow. I don't think they want him going all out this game. I can't even find him. I got to move him up apparently. Yeah, I still have him pretty low because I'm just not positive he's going to be in. But if he's definitely playing.
If it helps your ranking here, Seattle 30th against the passing passing yards per game right now.
Yeah, so if he plays, And I would have to judge how healthy he really is. If he's getting full targets, he's probably wide receiver 18, 19 in that Pittman, Deebo Samuel range.
Okay.
But like coming off an injury, I don't like ranking guys super high coming off injury. I just think the likelihood of a touchdown is lower. If they end up in a shootout, it'll work out. But if they end up dominating, you might see less Higgins, if that makes sense. They still have Tyler Boyd and a whole cast and crew of characters that they haven't really truly utilized yet. Irv Smith. So yeah, I could see moving him up to as high as 18, but I probably will have him somewhere in the mid-20s range. So like start him as a wide receiver 3 or a flex.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're in that position, that's a pretty good spot to be in if he's your flex or your wide receiver 3, because he was going in those top, that 2-3 turn in drafts this offseason. Let's go to New York, going to Buffalo right now. 14.5, the spread right now, favorite Buffalo at home against a New York Giants team that just looks like they're not with much hope in sight anyways. They've got Barkley coming back, it seems like, coming off of the ankle. He did practice Thursday, and I believe I did see that Daniel Jones is very possible to miss, towards missing this Sunday night matchup. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got Kincaid. We talked about Laporta. I'm sure those Kincaid drafters maybe having buyer's remorse 5 weeks in, but Kincaid and Knox both limited in practice today.
Yeah, so the Kincaid Knox, like they're just splitting targets. They're essentially playing two different positions with Knox in line and Kincaid in the slot, but there's only so many targets to go around. I wouldn't be surprised if they each get 4 or 5 targets. Maybe one gets in the end zone. If one of them is out, the other should benefit, but they are still in the where do I have them? Oh, they're low. Yeah, I don't have that either one of them in starting position. They're both around tight end 20, but that's factoring in their injuries too. So
let's go. Treylon Burks, I mean, he hasn't done much this year, but you've got Baltimore, who I believe left early. I think they went up to London on Monday, early in the week anyways. And then you've got on the other side of the ball, Tennessee, who is going up on the red eye on Thursday night, Kev. I don't know, man. If I'm traveling, playing a sport, playing a big game, especially if it's across the pond, I don't mind getting there early, getting used to the time change, my environment. What are your thoughts on that? I know it's kind of a split topic in the NFL right now with teams going kind of last minute, or do they go ahead of time? Jacksonville was there a lot for an extra week, and they looked all right last weekend.
I mean, I think going far ahead of time is a much better idea. Getting acclimated to the time change. Like, I guess you can do it from home and adjust on the plane. Put it this way. One of the biggest home field advantages doesn't actually come from playing on your home field. It comes from the fact that the other team is traveling, and these guys are so banged up that air travel, especially extended air travel, is going to make their bodies swell up. And the joints that are hurt and injured and bumped and bruises, they're all going to be magnified going to that game. So if you roll in there a day or two ahead of time, I don't know if that's enough time, especially going all the way to London to get acclimated. So that's my thoughts on it. Like, if I were going to London to play a game, I'd want to go immediately after my last game.
And the Ravens are favored right now by 4, which kind of like that side. I might even put a little something on Baltimore just being the first to score, just kind of being more ready for this game.
I think Lamar is pretty pissed off about last week too.
And exactly the comeback, right? The kind of let's get the train back on the tracks type of game.
Like what I was looking at that game, the whole time I'm going, Lamar looks horrible. But then I look back and the 7 dropped passes, he didn't look horrible. Like he had some key passes dropped, and that's got to be frustrating. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if he has every receiver on the jugs gun double time this week and making sure he was firing the ball though too. So some of those balls were a little difficult to catch, but I think they get back into sync. Or at least, I hope they do. I have a lot of high stakes teams with Lamar on them. So, and most of my low stakes teams have Deshaun. So I'm really screwed this year.
And you touched on that earlier with Cleveland. You've got San Fran going to Cleveland right now, 10-point favorites in a low scoring game. Deshaun Watson did not practice today. It doesn't look like he's playing. I know you're shaking your head. You've got like you said, some Watson.
So
You're kind of a Browns guy, no? I feel like you're Chubbs. You like the Chubbs. You like the Watsons. You like.
They always seem appealing to me. I think everybody else underestimates them, so I'm like, oh, they're sleepers, and I'm wrong a lot about that. I actually started to get off Chubb last year a little bit early, but yeah, I second round Chubb was good for me, and oh well, there that goes. And then Deshaun in the 8th round sometimes seemed super appealing. My biggest bag was J.K. Dobbins, though. That was
crushing. You and me both, dude. That one hurt.
Crushing.
That one definitely hurt.
But as far as Deshaun, like I think the shoulder's been bothering him a lot longer than he's let on. Like, don't get me wrong, he might just be frustrated, but I have a feeling Cleveland is like, he hasn't been able to
get a nice massage probably in a while, right? Like to really get the.
I mean, that's a damn good point, actually.
When you're used to getting rubbed,
right,
like, games, and
just got to pay a little extra, Deshaun. You got the money.
Pay up for that discretion.
Yeah.
All right, before we go completely off the rails,
this is so bad.
We're kind of dancing around because I'm seeing some guys we missed even like in a previous game. We didn't talk about. You said you had Darren Waller actually pretty high in your tight end rankings. You had him in your top 10, I believe, ahead of. Man, what did we talk about earlier? Laporta. You had him or not Laporta?
Yeah, I think I did put him. The only reason I have him ahead of Laporta is because I don't think Laporta is going to.
Oh, that's right. Overall, yeah. Sorry. So what are your? Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Waller? What are your thoughts on Wan'Dale? Do we care about Wan'Dale Robinson at this point?
Oh
the way
my God, I love Wan'Dale. Like this week is not. This week is probably not the week to make your bet on Wan'Dale. I can't not call him Wan'Dale. Sorry. I think Shelley said that once, and from now on, it's Wan'Dale.
Mr. La Quinta.
La Quinta.
So is there anyone in this Giants offense you do want?
Not this week.
Waller and Barkley, maybe because you have to, otherwise nothing.
Waller, if he started being used last week, and actually it's Tyrod Taylor probably this week too, right?
True.
Yeah, now that I look at it, I think the reason why I have Waller ahead of Kittle and Goddard is because of Kittle playing Cleveland, Goddard playing the Jets. I guess I could move Jake Ferguson up playing against the Chargers and Cole Kmet playing against Minnesota. Yeah. So I probably actually will move up Ferguson and Kmet.
Okay.
But when it comes down to it, if Waller is going to get 6 to 8 targets, chances are one of them is going to be in the end zone too, or near the end zone.
True.
He's just getting the usage, and there's really nobody else to throw to. If you have Waller, who are you going to start over him? Is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at guys like Dulcich, Ferguson, like those kind of guys, right?
In Dulcich coming back from the IR, I'm not too keen on starting that like right off the
Yeah,
bat.
yeah. No, I just mean those are the guys you're probably deciding between, like Waller and one of those guys. Yeah, yeah. But you're right. That's why I'm saying you're probably right. You probably want to stick in Waller. The ceiling is higher, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's just there's so many fleas and so many players this week. It just seems like could you be debating between Waller and Schultz? Sure, but Schultz plays New Orleans. Don't start anybody against New Orleans, or any tight end against New Orleans.
Yeah,
that's the one position you can't start against them. Kyle Pitts, you want to bet on him? And that's probably not a decision. In fact, you have on here Jonnu Smith. Arthur Smith is loving his
continues to produce though, right?
Right,
you know?
Right. Like, but are you going to start him over Waller? Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't tell anybody to do that.
No. You're starting where you're starting Jonnu Smith is tight end premium, where you were forced to go get a tight end off waivers, and you happen to get Jonnu that week off of waivers. That's the only time you're starting him, and you're desperate, to throw him in a flex or something, because he does give you a nice floor, I guess, right now with the amount of production he's had. Like for a tight end, it's been pretty consistent.
And if you're looking for a streamer, don't sleep on Cade Otton.
Love Otton.
Yeah,
I like Otton a lot,
especially if it looks like Mike Evans is going to play.
Yes, so that was So he could be at risk if it's kind of similar to what, like we talked about earlier, like if he misses Friday or he's very limited Friday, then you should be concerned.
He was upgraded to a limited participant today, from what I saw. Mike Evans was.
Yeah, I was just looking at Jonnu. I mean, man, the guy's giving you like a top 3. He's giving you a top 3 finish against Jacksonville in week 4. He was top 12 last week against Houston. Just keeps getting, kind of better and better every, like the last 3 weeks, he's been legit as a starter, so if you're putting him in your flex, pretty decent.
Yeah. And so, you know what, like Jonnu is the actual tight end where Pitts is the slot receiver.
It's kind of like the Kincaid,
it's like
the Kincaid Knox situation, right? Yeah, exactly. Just that they seem to be using Jonnu a bit more.
Well, that's Arthur Smith likes using his actual tight end. And I think that's where him and Pitts kind of didn't click, right? Like Pitts doesn't block in line, or hasn't really in the NFL anyway.
We talked about low scoring San Fran going to Cleveland. Other side of that is Carolina going to Miami. You got a 47.5 over under. Miami favored right now by 13.5. Miles Sanders, I can't remember if you're a Miles Sanders guy. I'm not a big Miles Sanders guy. I don't have a lot of shares. I didn't think you were, because I thought we had this conversation during the ball-in this offseason. Any thoughts on that backfield? Do you think Chuba can come in and produce decent flex production right now, or like a desperate RB2?
Not this week. Not necessarily against San Francisco. Or no, sorry, Miami. Hold on. I've been on Hubbard since the beginning. Like I probably have 15 to 20% Hubbard in my best balls. And I probably have like 2% Sanders just by accident timeouts. Or he was slipping too far. So I've liked Hubbard. I think should be the starter and should be looked at as the primary back going forward. More like a 60-40 or 55-45 split. But I think Hubbard is actually the better back. But I'm not too keen on him this week.
Yeah, San Fran number 2 against rushing yards per game, and number 9 against rushing yard per attempt.
Well, he's playing Miami.
Oh man, why am I saying San Fran?
Because we just talked about that. I mixed it up.
Yeah, no, that's totally.
They're playing Miami, but I forget. And Sanders is probably.
So Miami's 18th against rushing.
They're average.
Yeah,
I just don't see, and they're in Miami. Oh, in Miami plays that. So they have their stadium set up. so that the away team is in the blazing heat in the sun all game long, and they are actually in the shade.
That's some craft. That's some craft.
I mean, that was
strategy
perfect
right there.
Design. It's ridiculous too. And watching the game, you're just looking at these guys on the other sideline, just sweating.
That's
and
awesome.
The Miami guys just chilling. They're all
That's
right.
awesome.
So yeah, they always have a very distinct home field advantage. So I kind of probably factored that in. And I guess, yeah, I'm gonna move Chuba up to running back 32, right behind somebody we're probably going to talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, where is
Say it?
He's pretty far down. I like to call him Ferrari DeMarcado.
You think he's a dude? You think he's the guy that you had to get up?
So him and Keontae actually look pretty similar.
Keontae's a little iffy though, no? Or is he?
Right. He's coming off a neck injury. He's been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So DeMarcado is probably going to get at least half of the touches, if not quite a bit more. And he fits that perfect, like, out of absolutely nowhere profile, right? Like, he's the guy that nobody drafted. So he could have a couple good games. You know, I'm not predicting he will, but like I have him at RB31 this week.
Crazy.
And that could move up.
DeMarcado and Ingram right now plus 190. I thought it'd be more, like anytime touchdown right now on DraftKings.
Yeah. You know what you have to also factor in is that Rondell is going to get running back touches. They have been using him kind of as gadget in the backfield. I wouldn't be surprised if they start using him, 6, 7, 8 carries a game, just enough to cut into that upside. And I wouldn't be surprised if they use him in the red zone too.
Then you've got Hollywood Brown returning to practice. He was a little ill, returning from illness, so he's going to be a full go. I mean,
he's been surprising to me this year. I know he was a lot of people's sleeper, and I just didn't quite see it. Who would have thought? I can't even think of the quarterback's name. Dobbs. Yeah. I'm thinking Dobbs, but then I'm like, then I started thinking the Green Bay receiver. Yeah, Josh Dobbs. What the hell? Like this year's Geno Smith, or like, that was surprising.
Those are good surprises.
Look good.
They're good surprises because it's kind of an offense you think at one point that might just be dead fantasy wise, and all of a sudden now they've got life, right?
Right. Now they're like, well, they probably should be excited to hopefully get Kyler back, and let's see what he can do and go for it. Yeah, I guess, the thought of tanking, seems like two really great quarterbacks coming in the draft. So, as an organization or a fan base, you might want them to tank, but like NFL players don't play that way. So Kyler's going to want to come back to save his job. And, they look decent enough that we might actually see it.
One team that has not necessarily been a pleasant surprise is the Patriots. They're at Vegas. Right now, they're Vegas favored by 3, which you're looking, home field advantage is usually a 1.5 to 2. So it's kind of a pick 'em with a slight lean on the Raiders. The over-under is 41. Jacoby Myers limited in practice. Devontae Adams did not practice Wednesday. What are your thoughts? This game, nothing exciting, but we still have guys here that we have to decide, are we starting, not starting? Any further details on the receivers in Vegas?
If Jacoby Myers plays, I start him. Yeah. I think he's that good. He had those couple of years where he only scored 1 touchdown or something, but the regression is hit. He's talented, athletic. I'm a Myers guy.
And you're
And he was
basically looking for him, Kev, to have a full practice tomorrow. Is what you're hoping.
It looked like he had one today.
Did he have one today?
Okay,
yeah, the last
that's
update
what
I
I
had
saw.
was Wednesday. Okay, that's good to hear. Good.
Yeah, and Adams was limited today too, so he did practice some. So
they're probably just holding him back. I would imagine it's a shoulder.
Could be.
Should be able to suit up. It says according to NBC here, NBC Sports.
Are they looking to trade him?
I haven't seen that.
I mean, I
haven't seen that, but I've seen Judy to the Colts though.
Does that make a lot of sense? Yeah.
And it's like I didn't even realize that the Colts had they've inquired about Judy in the past, so it's kind of making more and more sense. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, like do they need him? Like, does he really make their team a whole lot better?
Well, they've got Downs, who recently has been showing life. They've got Alec Pierce, Pittman,
who's basically unused so far. Like, I like Pierce a lot. Like,
but it's probably just a matter of surrounding your rookie stud quarterback that you took in the top 4 picks with as many weapons as possible. You know, Anthony.
Yeah, I get that.
Anthony's back. Shout out to Anthony in the chat. He joined us earlier when I was on with the Snowman. He figured Judy was going to Carolina. That's the other rumor we heard earlier. Actually, during our show, the guys were in the chat giving us the news.
That would make sense to me, actually.
Right?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
I think that makes more sense to me than the Colts.
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
All right.
But the NFL doesn't make a whole lot of sense sometimes.
No, never. But if they did, it wouldn't be as fun, right?
Right. I mean, good point.
Snowman, speaking of Carolina, Snowman talked about Jeff Wilson. I know he's a guy I was trying to pick up the last couple of weeks off waivers, just hoping he's back sooner rather than later. Of course, Achan, pretty sure that's what Snowman said. That's how you say his name.
That's right. Ashane. We would just call him Ashane.
Ashane, that's not. Don't confuse me, man. I'm French, dude. I'm already confused. I'm already confused.
That's my point. You can get away with these French pronunciations anytime you want. Like, just let it roll.
The best is when we have Cody on, and it's like so hard for me to say his name with like the English ending.
No, don't.
I know, but it feels weird when he
Canadian rights, dude.
Don't even get me started. But yeah, so Carolina, Miami, you're looking at a 13.5 spread, 47.5 here. So another touchdown game. I mean, Carolina bottom in the league, and Miami's at the top. So is this a clear black and white type of game, or do we see a little life from Carolina? What do you think?
No, this is my bold call. Like, I currently, and I might back off of this a little bit in the rankings, but I currently have Mostert as my RB1.
Nice. I don't hate that.
I think Miami absolutely destroys.
Like are Mostert and Jacoby Myers the two ugliest guys to put in your starting lineup, but still feel comfortable with it? Like, those guys are just not sexy, but
call me Mr. Ugly, because actually I don't have much Mostert. I drafted a ton of Jeff Wilson just because he was going super late. I'm cheap. Like, I buy the cheap guys. I am. So I have a bunch of just Jeff Wilson in best ball, and I don't have much Mostert just because I'm always about, he always gets hurt. Like, and he literally always does. But as long as he's healthy and running good, and he's going to get the vast majority of the touches, I think they're going to work Jeff Wilson in. I could see Jeff Wilson getting 10 to 12 touches even, but I don't think that's going to stop Miami from running the ball 30, 35 times. Like, they're just going to run it down their throat. Because that's Carolina's, I think, second worst against running backs. So I think Wilson will probably get his. I wouldn't start him unless you're just absolutely desperate. I think I have Wilson somewhere ranked some at 38, RB 38, and I could see myself moving him up, but I don't think he's. I would debate. I mean, we saw score a touchdown. There's touchdown potential there.
We saw Achan and Mostert both go off in a couple games together, so you could make the case that it's very possible.
Yeah, I'm moving him up.
There we go. All right. Good job, chat. We convinced Jeff to move some guys.
I mean, it's not that hard.
A bit in his ranking.
It's
Thursday. But that's kind of why we want to do this.
Flux.
It's kind of why we like doing this, right? And I know you've even come in, you've been on in the chat with some of these shows just because it's even like getting info from the chat. Everybody's just trying to help each other, right? We want to get the lineups right. We want to get put our money on the right props. And all this is important. So yeah, Jeff Wilson should be back according to Miami OC Frank Smith, as the Snowman just mentioned.
And Jeff Wilson has said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit the ground running. So maybe he will get more touches, but that means I got to back off Mostert a little bit. I don't want to do that though. I don't think anybody else has Mostert in like their top 5.
No, I like that. I like the bold calls. I love the bold calls like that. That's great.
And
don't back off.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No backing off, man.
All right, no backing off.
You gotta go all in. Let's go to Chicago. Chicago coming off of their first big game of the season. Minnesota, it looks like the sink is shipping. The sink is shipping. Wow.
Yeah, that's perfectly put, actually. That's really appropriate.
But yeah, like JJ's hurt. Now you're hearing that they're just going to tear it apart, trades, this, that, Cousins, So right now, is this like overreaction right now with Minnesota getting 3 points going to Chicago? I feel like that's still not a lot of points. Like I don't know. What are your thoughts on this line? And then I want to hear your thoughts on the Chicago backfield.
So the line, like I would, it's very difficult to get the words out, but I would take the Chicago side of that. Don't see. Yeah. Minnesota without JJ is what? Like they're not good. They have been good with him. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. Chicago is pretty weak against the run, but this could be an Akers week, actually. Just I've never been an Alexander Madison fan.
But, Me neither.
Yeah, I just don't see them. If Chicago's going to play like they did last week, Minnesota's not going to beat them. And Chicago at home, yeah, I think I like the Chicago side of that. And
Chicago, Minnesota against the run are very similar, like yards per game,
right,
rushing, that kind of thing.
So it is now Roshan's season, but I think the season starts next week because I don't think he's playing this week, or if he does, he seems to be pretty banged up.
Or Foreman this week, no?
Yeah, Foreman. I have Foreman ranked as the RB25. He's coming off injury too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is he being a healthy scratch?
He hasn't
played all season. Foreman.
Yeah, no, he's coming off of injury, I believe. Let me confirm that.
Yes, he is. He was inactive Thursday against Washington, inactive fourth game. It doesn't say injury. He's been inactive since week 1.
Okay.
I assume there was some injury or he was banged up there for a little bit, but and they had another running back that plays special teams a whole lot, and that's why Foreman really wasn't rostered. He should be able to hit the ground running. I just don't know. I don't necessarily see them using him to score, right? They're going to use Fields. They're going to use Komet. They're going to run some trick plays somewhere, maybe squeeze DJ a touchdown. I just don't see Foreman being a focal point. Yeah, I know Chicago historically likes to run the ball, but I think they're letting Fields kind of take over, and I think he'll do fine. I think he's startable. I just wouldn't, start him over any of your regulars.
No. Yeah, I think Johnson not around, Foreman probably heavily involved. Johnson's around, probably more of a hot hand type of play.
Yeah.
But Foreman's more than more than capable, right? We saw him almost put
Yeah.
up, under 1,000 yards last year.
Right.
So,
Right. No, he's RB 25. So while he's not like a must start, he's definitely startable.
yeah, he's a guy we were targeting quite a bit off the waivers this week, just to kind of plug in some of those holes, especially if you have.
He's the perfect plug-in.
Especially if you had Roshan, or if you have Roshan,
Right.
you were kind of looking to play him. Right. Now is your chance to go get Foreman, and then you've got both. You can kind of lock up that backfield because the Chicago offense. I mean,
he'll score just enough points that you won't miss your starter.
There you go. We got to put that on a bumper sticker or something.
Whoa. Once in a while, I nail it, right?
That was a good one. A good one. I think that's it from my list, like injury wise. I know, we didn't really talk the Seattle side of the ball. Metcalf said he's been playing through like rib injury, but it looks like he should be there. Lockett's should be there. No issues on the Seattle side of the ball. Any games that we did not touch tonight? And chat, if you guys have questions, start sits, anything like that, just drop them in there.
This injury is really holding Metcalf back. I want him to sit just so we can see JSN step up.
But isn't JSN hurt too though?
Yeah, you might be right. I think
I could have swore he was hurt.
He's so deep in my rankings now. There's nothing that says anything. He doesn't have a tag next to him.
Oh, okay.
He held 6 targets for 5 yards in their win over the Giants. Sorry, just reading the blurb. Yeah, I would like to see more JSN, but I just don't. It's not in Seattle scheme, and I really need them to start using Charbonnet. Yeah,
so do I. Trust me. A lot of Achane and Charbonnet on the same rosters for me, especially in best ball. Any tidbits that we haven't hit on or that you wanted to talk about? I think we hit most.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Start Isaiah Pacheco tonight.
Oh, that's a great call. Yeah, we talked about that earlier for sure.
The Broncos have led up 4 straight RB1s or something like that at 22 fantasy points in each of the last 4 games. The Broncos.
Yeah, and I think we were looking at it earlier. His rushing yards were not. It was 76.5. I think it actually went up. I think it was 74, 75.5. So 76.5 for Pacheco.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done a ton this season. He cooked the Jets a bit, but the matchup is just against that. Denver's just a sieve at.
Denver's horrible, right? They're last against.
They're so bad
against the run. So I'm just trying to see.
And that's kind of funny. I thought Denver's defense was good.
Pacheco has given you top 12, top 15, top 14.
Right. He hasn't been bad.
Top 6. He's been what you would expect. If you expect anything else, I think from him was maybe.
Right. This should be a good game for him, though. Where do I have him? I have him RB10.
Yeah, that's what Snowman pulled out today. He's averaging 80 yards rushing and has scored a TD in 3 straight.
Yeah, he should do at least that.
There you go.
Double that.
And Taylor Swift is there, so that just boosts everything in Casey.
That actually is a knock on him because they might try to feed Kelsey. Yeah. They're going to force him at least one. I think Kelsey hasn't had a big game yet. So
but there's also the Swiftie factor in the sense that the more she's on the screen, the more the Swifties like it. So if Casey just scoring, they always go to her in the box, jumping up and down. So I mean, it's whoever, any touchdown. There's a meme actually of her cheering, for Pacheco touchdown, like she even knows who Pacheco is, But she's there to cheer for Casey. It's all good, man.
Yeah, she's there to have a good time, hang out with mom.
Kelsey's still out there blocking. He's doing something. All right, Kev. I think we covered most of it. It is 1:45-ish, and we like to give the peeps a good 15-20. To go back to their lineups if they need to before the game. And some people on the screen might also need to brush through their lineups really quickly before the game. But guys, we appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you check us out every Thursday at noon. We'll focus on the Thursday night game, and then on at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays, we'll be checking out the rest of the game slate. Kev, you got something?
Yeah, hit me up in the 3013 Discord. I'm on there Sunday mornings. I'll probably go on there right after this. It's hot. Like, there's all kinds of people giving advice, asking questions, discussing this. And
how do people become a part of that? And then while you're at
just
it,
go to,
you can find all your goodness.
Just go to any of Larky's articles or anything any article in the fantasy football section of the 3013.com. And the Discord link will be in there. So just click on that Discord link that's in any of the articles in the fantasy section there.
Awesome. Dude, this has been a blast. Guys, good luck this week. Week 6, might be a deciding week if you're a reno mode or contender, non-contender. But season's been fun so far. A lot of twists and turns, unexpected, dodging and ducking. But that's part of the game, and that's what makes the game fun. So enjoy it. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the game tonight for sure. Make sure your lineups are set properly and get those W's this week. Kev, we appreciate you. Make sure you check Kev at FF_Wheeler. Go check him out at the 3013. I'm JD at JD Go District, and we'll check you all later.
Go District, the Pope listens. Dynasty, our religion, for the blokes missing. On all of these trades, on all of these plays, on all of these grades. By the end of the day, y'all getting played. So, what you gonna do next? Try to fill up that flex? Send the homie a text? That trash offers the best? You try to make it complex, then they text you back. Now all of a sudden, they don't make any sense. Broaden your horizons, boy. Dynasty's not for the Simons, boy. These trades not for consignment, boy. Respect your opponent, y'all some piranhas, boy. This my advice from me to you. Open up your cute little podcast queue. Search up GOAT District, my dude. Pop it in your ear, man. Y'all know what to do. It's the and I always be traded. And I always be traded. And I always be trading. Y'all try to betray them, but first you gotta bait them. Fish.